What is friendship? Friendship is a topic really important and present in everyone's life. But what is friendship? What do the people that we call friends actually mean to us? Is it something innate? Something we build? Or something that create bonds along our lives with people? Does we need friends in order to be happy? Thankfully, some philosophers in history have given their ideas on the concept of friendship, as Seneca, as Epicurus, as Montaigne, and Aristotle. Starting with Seneca, a Roman Stoic virtue theory philosopher, he would argue that it is important to every individual to cultivate the companionship of each other, but even with yourself, but in a way that it doesn't become an excess. With that, friendship comes along as playing as an antidote to the when we want to self-isolate and have that only friend that will hold our back. And even when we want to go to society, to the crowd and have fun, we all need friends for those kind of situations, even socially or private life. In a way, we all want friends that make us feel immersed on society and the world, but we also want a special friend that will hold our back in time of isolation. And because philosophy is not made alone, I interviewed some of my friends to talk about what they think is friendship in their lives. Because at the end, this is what philosophy is all about. Talk, discussion, exchange of ideas.
I don't know, like friendship is the people that you select, the people that you know, and even though sometimes you're on your hardest and your lowest, they are there to support you. And sometimes even though you don't see them recently or you're not that often with them, you know you can still trust them. I think it's really important to like be aware of who are really your friends.
On the other hand, we had the philosopher Epicurus, which belongs to a different school of thought opposed to the Seneca Stoicism, Epicurism. For instance, what Epicurus said about friendship is that no wise actually need friends. But this caused a lot of controversy. That means that we shouldn't encourage to have friends in our lives? Isn't friendship take an important role in everyone's lives? Are we supposed to have friends? Despite the school rivalry, Seneca comes once again to defend the philosopher Epicurus. He said that the affirmation that the philosopher takes that no wise actually need friends doesn't actually correlate with the fact that he doesn't want friends, but rather that he just don't need it, but he still want it. For Seneca and Epicurus, the wise is the one that is self-sufficient, that was able to develop and establish the virtues by his own, that he wasn't affected to any external factors of the world, and that he was indifferent about it. With that is the way to achieve the principal goal of both philosophies, Stoicism and Epicurism, which is the term ataraxia, which means lack of turmoils or deviations to the soul. So what we can conclude is that the Epicurus quote is misunderstood, and even though the wise doesn't actually need friends for his life, he still wants this kind of connection. So at the end of Epicurus' take, friendship doesn't actually guarantee happiness, but instead that the wise still choose to have those connections.
Friendship for me is those persons that you can get support from on those moments that you need them, and if something goes sideways, I know that I can count in my friends, because the friendships are the family that we select during our life.
And finally, Aristotle. Aristotle had discussed important consideration for all of us when we think about the values of our friendship and what category they fit in our lives. He gives friendship three categories: friendship of utility, friendship of pleasure, and friendship of virtue. Have you ever had this friend when you were both useful for one another, but besides that, there wasn't anything beyond that? There wasn't any special connection besides your utility to one another? Could be that friend that you just friends with because he helps you doing your homework, or because he helps you cheating on your calculus class, or because he gives you pot, whatever. You get the idea. Overall, the friendship of utility is the friendship that you use as a means to an end to something else. That also means that when the utility that bond the friendship is over, the friendship itself is likely to fade away and is likely to be over because it's a friendship of utility. But when we talk about friendship of pleasure, Aristotle will classify it as the friendship only connected because it gives pleasure to one another. Perhaps the friendship that you have a friend that is really funny, maybe it's not because he have a good character or because you like him as a personality, but you like the fact that he gives you pleasure, he gives you laughs, and therefore a friendship of pleasure. This kind of friendship is valuable because it gives you a level of pleasure that makes that bond a friendship. It could be a friendship that you enjoy going to a party with, that gives you pleasure, a friend that you enjoy watching a movie because it makes you pleasurable. Anything that gives you pleasure, friendship of pleasure.
Friendship for me is like the genuine desire to share moments with someone. So like I was saying, you have classmates, you have work partners or like acquaintances, and the determining factor for those relationships is a factor of proximity. So you're in a classroom, you're in a workspace together, and that's how you start fostering like the relationship. But I feel like with friends, you don't need that proximity factor. You don't need an excuse to be together and to share moments. And even there can be like a lot of distance or a lot of time goes by and you don't talk to them a lot. And I think there's still that desire to share either a call or like go out for coffee or whatever. There's always that drive to like know each other better, and also like a support system. You know, I think a good friend or a decent type of friendship involves some kind of accountability. Maybe not expected, but like it's a given sometimes. For me at least, I think laughter is one of the determining factors. Like if I laugh a lot with them and they laugh a lot with me, I think that's a good sign that there's a friendship.
And according to Aristotle, the friendship of virtue is the one that is most important out of the three. And according to him, is where in both sides there's an equally fair trade of goodness in each side. Cause you guys know that you already cultivate the virtue of the good. And according to him, that is the type of friendship that you guys know that in both sides you will share and trade equal amount of goodness on one another. Cause you guys know that together and individually, you practice the virtue of the good, the virtue of the goodness, and that you can count on both another on that. And perhaps that kind of friendship is the friendship that you feel is unique, the friend that you admire deeply, not because of any external factors or because it didn't serve as a means to an end, but it rather because it's simply virtuous the connection that you guys have, because you guys know that both of you together share the virtue of the good, and therefore there's a friendship of virtue. While many philosophers already discuss about this topic of friendship, we can all agree that it's still a such important factor in everyone's life. While I'm here studying and living my own friendships, I encourage you to do the same, to reflect, to live, and to think about your friendship and philosophy in a way that is healthy for you. I see you then.